welcome to the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. Hey, everybody. Here we are. Today, we're with a board-certified pediatrician, founder and managing partner of ABC Pediatric Clinic, which was established in 2008. She, along with her sister, who is also a physician, have grown this two-physician private independent clinic serving 10,000 patients in East Houston. Holy cow, that's huge. After struggling with burnout, and it comes right along with that 10,000 patients, she embarked on a journey of mindfulness living and became certified as a mindfulness physician coach working with midlife female physicians. Now she's an avid podcaster and the co-founder of CPR for the Souls, which is a spiritual community exclusive for midlife female physicians wanting to find calm, feel free, and live an authentic life. Dr. Sogol, hello and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So much experience here and so much we get the bios to run through and it's like picking and choosing. You've done so much already in your career. And what I love about is like now you're sharing it with others because there's so many who have gone through something similar to you. And now you're sharing this back with them. I think that's amazing. I can't wait to talk more about it.
Awesome. Let's do it.
So just briefly, just letting everybody know about your story, just a quick summary of basically where you started and how you got to where you're at right now in medicine.
Yeah. So I am a first generation immigrant. Okay. So that for people that are immigrants kind of sets the tone for it's the do, work, find a stable job, which is essentially three options. You've got medicine, law, and engineering. And then and what's different about my story is that my dad has 4 siblings. So there's 5 of them and they all moved to Houston. So we grew up in a very united family unit. And we actually, 3 of them, we lived on the same cul-de-sac growing up. So very much like I'm originally from Iran and that's what you do in the Middle East. So they brought kind of the culture as much as they could to the United States. And all of them were in they're all small business owners. Mm-hmm. 4 of them are small business owners. So when I get the question often, like I started my own clinic with my sister 2 years out of residency. We worked for someone for a year and a half and she had she was solo. She had an amazing clinic. And so we learned a lot. And then we went out on our own and people are like, how did you go open up a clinic 2 years out of residency? And may I remind you that this was 15 years ago. The landscape was completely different because right now there is so much support, right? In podcasts, in coaching, and all these different.
The speed of technology has changed.
Yeah.
Speed of information.
Yeah, back then there was nothing. There was the Texas Medical Association, whatever, if you wanted to reach out to, but there was nothing practical. So the reason that we went out, I think, is because we were just that's all we knew. We were you come to America, you study something, and then you go open up your own business with whatever you studied, right? So there wasn't much doubt and mental drama about should I do this? Should I not? I don't know. Is it going to work out? It's oh no, that's what you do. My cousins did that. My uncles did that. So that's just what you do. Mm-hmm. So that's really important to acknowledging that circle of 5, which I call it, right? The people that you surround yourself with or the people that you become. Mm-hmm. So super important in your life just to reflect upon that. And so, so we opened up the clinic and the unique thing about our clinic is we're in East Houston. So we, are in a predominantly underserved Hispanic community, mm-hmm. which we are about 70% Medicaid. And I don't know if you know about anything about Medicaid, but they pay like crap, right? They pay 50% of what private insurance pays. So it was very challenging because you have to keep the overhead down. You can't have these large administrative teams, right? You have to be really, really clean. But we love the community. They opened up their hearts to us, and we opened, and within a year we had to hire another clinician, and now we're up to 8, I think 7 or 8 clinicians. And so along that journey, I think, I always say entrepreneurship is a journey of self-development, right?
Absolutely.
You really get to know yourself, whether you want to or not. It is inevitable. So I was not very aware. I was very, I'm super ADHD. So I was overachieving, controlling, ADHD, non-delegating. I do it my way, and my way is right, and I do it faster than everyone. And so that's what led to my burnout, right?
Do you think with, I hear this a lot, Dr. Sogol, is the medicine, law, and engineering.
Yeah.
Do you think that what you just explained there about your personality pairs along with that kind of cultural expectation to hold tight and drill and get the job done based off of those 3 basic career choices? Do you think that kind of comes along with the cultural piece too?
Yeah. And, even like I would say, it's not specific to the careers. It's specific to like the cultural norm, right? It's specific to the values of the family, which is hard work. You work, like my dad hasn't retired yet. He's like 77, right? Like my uncle is 83 and he's still working, right? Wow. And so I will say there is definitely a positive side to that when you are growing up, right? High school, college, in your earlier years, when you are trying to establish a career, a life, a family. Yes, you should work hard. But then what gets really, what leads to burnout and gets really difficult is like, okay, but there has to be a balance somewhere. Like, I don't want to work till I'm 77. I don't want to work till I'm 83 years old, right? And so I always say my burnout was a blessing because I could have continued on that path until I was 75 and then turned around and be like, wait, why do I feel completely miserable for the past 50 years of my life? And I have all this stuff around me, right? I have my clinic, whatever awards, blah, 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 but I don't feel good. And that's what made me pause with my burnout is that my burnout showed up as just, tired. I was so tired. I would sleep, I cut back, I did all the stuff that I ate, I was just tired, right? And so that's what led me to the mindful living is because it was a lot of that emotional burden that I was carrying on. It was not creating boundaries. And I will tell you what's different is that a lot of physicians that are not in private practice, they work for someone, right? Academics, or they're in a large healthcare system, and they think that the burnout is because of administration. And yes, totally part of it is because of administration, but I didn't have an administration above me. I was the administration, right? So part of my burnout was me not having boundaries with myself, me pushing myself to do, go, take on more, not delegate. So I really want to tell your audience, if there are physicians out there, to look at that. Yes, administration that you work for, yes, some of them suck. That's fine. That's 50%. But the other 50% also comes from you. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially for us physicians. It's like, look within yourself and see, where am I contributing to my burnout? And it's different for everyone. So for me, it was like, not controlling as much, allowing others to do their job, not micromanaging, delegating, those kind of sorts of things. And then and pausing, like telling myself, like, no, you can't do that. Give it to someone else. Right.
Yeah, these are all the entrepreneurship is a journey of self-development, and that is a piece of it, learning, where you're contributing to the problem that's in front of you, and then being able to, I guess, increase your skills as a leader and help grow other people. That way, the return that lightens your load when you do that. And then there's always this challenge too, Dr. Sogol, of I am definitely not a micromanager. I am the opposite. So I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I trust you 100%. I have this weird feeling that everybody in the world is just like me and wants to go out and do the absolute best they can, be as efficient, as effective as they can. And then we point our heads towards the goal and we take off. And then when I look beside me and nobody's there, I'm like, where are you at? I'm the opposite. So, how do you go from that point of being a micromanager to kind of like expecting, I expect too much of people, I feel like,
Yeah, that's so interesting. I can't even imagine. I'm like, what would it feel like if I lived like that?
I'm like,
I think part of that for me in a business sense came with a lot of self-trust, trusting that I hired the right people to do the job. And I did. Like, my people are amazing, right? It's just that letting go, and it's super scary, and letting go is like death to a lot of us type A physicians that have always done things our way. So just letting go and allowing that poor employee or supervisor or admin to use their gifts. So the way I look at it now, some of the thoughts that I use is that every single person that's on earth, every soul has a gift to give to the world, right? Yes. And if me as an employer can trust myself enough that I see something within this employee and I hire them, then I want to allow them to shine their light, whatever way that is. And my job is to recognize what their gift is and what their light is, and then support them in that, because you can go the other way too. A lot of people will employ people and then they'll put them in positions where they're not a good fit, and they'll be like, I don't understand. Why can't you do the job? So it's really understanding people's personalities, people's contributions, people's gifts is what I call it. That's kind of the term that I have. And then supporting them in that area. And that's what I've started to shift to, is that at a point I was like, I'm holding back these employees. Like, I'm literally holding them back. I have them like handcuffed to their seats because I'm not allowing them to voice their opinions, to bring in new innovation, to bring in their creativity, right? And that's why, and that's how a business blooms. It can't be on one person's shoulder. It can if you want to stay small, I guess, and then you want to burn out. But as you want to expand, you have to bring in a team, and the dynamics of that team, I think, is key in business.
That there's a whole piece of that in the entrepreneurial world of growing leaders. And as soon as you start growing leaders and opening up this thing, like for me, people, listeners can't see me like acting out my thing of I take off running towards a goal and I turn my head to my shoulder and my team's not there beside me anymore. And I'm like wondering where you're at. But this idea of giving colleagues around you the platform for them to shine in their gift, because it may not be that their gift is ready to shine at this moment. Maybe the end piece is the thing being prepared for them. But along this journey, when you do open up that opportunity for people, that's where the growth is. And heading that way, you transfer into this wonderful world, Dr. Sogol, called, it's a place where we stop trading time for money. Mm-hmm. And in that world, and you said you have 7 or 8 clinicians now working with you. I always love that term too, with you instead of for me. In my perspective, I love that. I want us to be working together. I don't want anybody working for me, because if you're working for me, I don't feel like we're headed towards the same goal. But in that regard, there's this idea now where we've stopped trading time for money. So now you've become a true entrepreneur. And to me, just because you have your own practice and you're in it every single day, to me, that's not necessarily an entrepreneur, right? you're paying for yourself to have a job. Mm-hmm. So you've made this transition now into a new world of stop trading time for money. And that's it somewhat aligns with the from burnout to balance piece, in this world of, okay, I don't have to be the one there to help people for the business to make money. So being in that position now, I think is a great spot because you don't have to trade time for money. What does that feel like for you?
It feels amazing. So I will tell you that so COVID hit, we worked a zillion hours a day, blah, blah, made all these changes. And then that's really when my burnout hit. And I made I'm very impulsive. So I made a very impulsive decision. I was like, I am going to work 2 days a week, period. And I was like, I'm at a point in my life where I can't, like I'd gone to like 6 days to 5 days to 4 days, like kind of like that over the, I don't know, after the first 5 years or something like that, leaning back. And then I was kind of stuck. And I will tell you, a lot of physicians do this. They won't clinically see people, but they'll be at home on their laptops and doing right. That doesn't count. That still counts as a working. So that's how I was. I would get up, I'd get on my laptop and like, look at the schedule, look who's here, look who's there. And I was like, stop. No. And when I did that, the office was so much happier. Yeah. The revenue came in so much more. Like I was holding people back. Literally, I was holding people back, right? And I think the fear is that, again, letting go and knowing I don't know what's going to happen if I don't check the schedule every day or whatever you're doing, whatever your habit is. I don't know what's going to happen if I'm not there for the nursing manager to come ask me a question. But you know what? They'll figure it out. Like they're smart. If you hire the right people, they're smart. So it feels liberating. It feels like I've truly, I've had the accomplishments of like med school, residency, whatever. But this, I think, feels like one of the biggest accomplishments that I've had in my life because I wasn't given a specific track and a checkoff list to get to it, right? It wasn't like you do these pre-med courses and then you go to med school and then you got to get all A's and then you go to residency and you do well on your rotations and then you get to become a doctor. It was like, no, you kind of throw yourself out there and you sink and swim and you sink sometimes and you swim sometimes. And then by the end of the day, you actually will come out, like surfing the waters. Yes. So it's very fulfilling. I would say one word is fulfilling. Yeah.
Fulfilling. Very nice. And I've been stuck on this kind of perspective through these challenging times as an entrepreneur. And there's so many people out there say, hey, this is great, do this. And especially coaching, similar coaching type things like, this is great, do this. It's not like that. It's not sunshine and rainbows. And there are years and years and years of what I call digging ditches in order for that idea or that path or that vision to come to fruition. So you fought through that, you've hung it out there and it's awesome. And now you're helping others. And it's a very specific other where it is aligns with your journey. And Dr. Sogol _mindful living is the Instagram handle where you can reach Dr. Sogol and you're sharing your journey. And you also have the podcast, right? The podcast is Mindful Living with Dr. Sogol. So these great spots to help other people out and share that journey with them. So you've got this path, the coaching, you've still got the practice. Are you investing in real estate at all?
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm one of the weird physicians that thinks real estate is fun.
Yes. What kind of real estate?
Yeah, so we started with residential. So we bought our first townhome when my daughter was born 18 years ago. 18 years ago, in a really, what is it called? A transitional neighborhood, where like there's like a little shack and then there's like the newer townhomes. Yep. In an area. Real estate is all about location, y'all. Everybody knows that, right? It was like right near like all the highways and downtown and whatever, stuff like that. And and every property I've bought, I've never sold. I've always kept. So we've leased that out. Then we bought our home, our first home we bought it the bubble was 2008, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we bought
2008 was like the down. I bought my first house in 07.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we bought ours in 2008. Yeah. So we bought that house, and then I knew that was not my forever house. I knew because it was an older house, and either I was going to knock it down and build it, or we were going to move into like a bigger, nicer house. And so we again leased that out. And when I say I love real estate, I would get up every morning at 6 or whatever. And the first thing I would do, I would grab my phone and get on HAR and search to see what is the
HAR is the realtor, basically the realtor spot for Houston.
Yeah.
Like the Zillow spot for Houston.
Oh, it's not HAR nationally? Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
No, it's Houston, Houston area realtors. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't even know what it stands for. So it took me 2 years of literally every day. And the Houston market in our area is still hot. It was hot. Like after the bubble, whatever that was, it went back up and it hasn't like stopped growing. And so I remember this house that we're in that we built, I got up and I saw we were looking for like a ranch home to like knock down, right? Yeah. Because all the other newer homes, I was like, oh, there's this wrong with it. I was super picky. And obviously I had like planned out where the rooms were, whatever. I'm crazy like that, right?
You Dr. Sogoled it. You early Dr. Sogoled it. Yeah. Yes.
So I called the realtor. It popped up like whatever that morning. And I called and she's like, oh, we already have 20 appointments showings. You want to come Saturday? And I was like, okay, what the heck? That just came on the market within 24 hours, right? That's how crazy it was. And we came and we saw it. And then the next day I told we brought our builder and we're like, yeah, we want to knock it down. And then the next day I called a realtor and I was like, okay, we're interested in it. And she's like, oh, there's already 6 offers. It's like, what the freak?
Yeah.
And the only reason we got the house, because it was one of those houses, it was an older home, 1-story ranch home, right?
Yeah.
Pretty nice, but you had to you could have done some remodeling inside of it and totally would have been be able to live in it. And most people around this area, that's what they do. But I was like, no, I want to knock it down because I want to build equity in this. And I know this neighborhood is going to continue to increase in value. And I don't want it to be a 1950s build. I want it to be 2000, whenever we built it. And so the only reason we got it is because the couple was a 90-year-old couple that their kids were navigating like where they should go. And they were going into like a long-term facility and they wanted to sell quick. And they didn't want to go through all the inspections and this and that. And we were like, we don't want it inspected.
Yeah.
I was like, we don't need anything. We just pay you. Yeah. And that is the only reason that we got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we sell a lot of real estate. We buy a lot of real estate. And that's a great note right there. Because from being on both sides of the table, as a seller, I want clean offers. Let me tell you, when you started talking about that market in Houston, on the kind of super upside of Charlotte, North Carolina, we had a property that was super hot. We priced it right, and we had more than 40 offers on that property. So as a seller, believe me, I've looked at a few offers before. That was one property, but in that list of stuff, I'm looking for cash. I'm looking for fast. I'm looking for clean, right? I don't want any contingencies. I don't want any hoops. How serious are you? What's in the Carolinas, we have what's called a DD, a due diligence. So I pay to play. How big is your due diligence? How big is your EMD, right? So that's a great point that you make there. And it is, you're not weird. It is fun. I love it. It's stressful. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I just absolutely love it. This house that we're sitting in here, Dr. Sogol, we're in the Carolinas now.
Where are you?
We're just outside of Charlotte.
Okay.
So we're actually in South Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. And my wife and I had flown down here and we decided we're moving here. So we'd been in the Charlotte market for a couple of years. And we came down here, we found this house, and we put an offer on this house that was probably $20,000 less than the top offers. And there were multiple offers on this property. They already had offers before we even looked at it, but it was clean, it was fast, and it was cash.
Yeah.
right? And that's
cash is
I'm
king.
standing.
Cash,
Yeah, yeah.
you can't beat cash. You can't
Yeah.
beat cash. And then the other thing that we did for our clinic, so we're talking about real estate. So when we started our clinic, my cousins and uncles are all into real estate, and my cousin had built a shopping center, like a small shopping center with like three, whatever. And when we started, he was like, hey, just come and like lease my shopping center, build it out, because it was just a shell, not the whole thing, a little part of it.
Right.
And then don't pay me rent for 6 months, whatever. It doesn't matter. If your business, starts being profitable, fine, then pay me rent. If it doesn't, I'll close the door and I'll be fine. And so that's how we started. And so we were paying lease for, I would say, within 4 or 5 years, within 2 years. So it was us, a dentist, and then like some other thing on the right side. Mm-hmm. And so within 2 years, we grew out of our space. So we moved our admin to like this other area on the right side. Mm-hmm. And we kept our clinic then. And then within 5 years, we purchased like across the road, 2 minutes down, we purchased an old, I think it was like a food storage something. I don't know. It was like this big old building. And we gutted it. We renovated it. It's 15,000 square feet. It's commercial property. I think it's acre or two. I don't remember. It's Texas. Mm-hmm. Everything's big, right?
Yeah.
And we have an LLC where our building is an LLC. And then we have the ABC, which is another LLC that pays that, right? That pays. So it's like, why I love real estate. Like, it's so fun.
Yes, what you're explaining right there is something which is very unique about real estate, because you're actually controlling the value of that commercial property, and you control, as the tenant, you control that by the rent that you select to pay. And that rent that is an expense for one of your LLCs is now an income in a different LLC, in which we can offset that income with the depreciation of the property. So that is the beauty, the joyful piece of where you can definitely get down into the nerdy kind of CPA kind of, I love numbers and this is how I keep the money I make. That's what makes real estate fun,
Yeah. And that's why, and I think, I always questioned, and I think you can't do this in the middle of Manhattan, right? Because of the real estate costs, right? But I'm like, if you're going to open up, and my mindset has always been like that from the beginning. I was like, if I'm going to be open up a clinic, right? And be like an entrepreneur, I don't want to work 5 days a week in that clinic until I'm 75, because I can go work for Texas Children's Hospital, right? Mm-hmm. So my mindset was always like, first of all, I want some sort of equity in whatever I'm working with, right? Because at the end of the day, a pediatric office, you can't sell it. There's no longer, doesn't hold that value of I sell you 1,000 patients and then you pay me whatever. Right. And so it doesn't really have any value. So what has value is my land. What has value is my building, right? The rent that I get from it. And then what has value is the time, right? The time that I create with employing in physicians and staff. And so if you are opening up a clinic, don't lease for 30 years. That makes absolutely no sense to me. Yes, I know in areas where the land is crazy expensive, then no, you probably can't go buy a 2 or 1 acre land and be able to afford it, right? But I don't know, maybe move to an area where you can do that. I feel like these are the things that you really need to look at if you really want to make this get the most value out of your money. And project into the future what kind of lifestyle you want to have and what you want to do, and that passive income is huge.
Yes, I love hearing that sound. Passive income. It makes me think of the McDonald Corporation, the Ray Kroc journey, how Ray Kroc started working with McDonald's brothers. I think it's San Bernardino, California, right? The ones, I don't know if you've seen that movie before. Yes.
Yeah.
But the way that real estate plays into McDonald's, if you think about it, how many locations that McDonald's has, and as a corporation, the corporation, I believe, I may be wrong in this, owns the real estate and then leases to the franchisee. So think about the money that McDonald's Corporation has in real estate. I think it's remarkable. And that thing of, that movie, it was the movie or from that movie, just McDonald's is in the real estate business, not in the burger business.
Oh, that's funny.
And what I'm hearing you say, Dr. Sogol, I absolutely agree with, is even though you are in the business of medicine, you have to keep your reticular activating system, right? This thing in the back of your head pointing at real estate, passive income, real estate, passive income. There's so much value in that. And even in these areas, we've had physicians come on in, there was a physician that came on that had 2 offices in Manhattan. So there are ways to make this work. And she actually coaches other physicians on how to do this, how to basically go from working from somebody else to working with somebody. And this idea of adding at the right time, at the right weight, because you don't want to create another job for yourself. Just like you say, don't lease for 30 years, right?
Yeah,
because there is equity in the opportunity of real estate.
Totally. Yeah.
What would you suggest for the listeners out there, Dr. Sogol, who may be thinking about, almost, not that you are an accidental landlord, but when you buy your house and then you move into another house, you rent out another, you rent that house out, kind of like getting into the passive world that way. What do you suggest would be a great way for physicians, maybe med students, residency? How would they get started in real estate?
I would say, first of all, you need to know the market, right? You need, the thing with me is I grew up in Houston. I did not grow up in this area that we live in. I grew up in the suburbs. But I knew, like, the first townhome that we bought, I knew it was in an upcoming area. And then don't be afraid to invest in those transitional areas.
Yes.
Right. Those are the ones that are gold. Like, they're never going to go down. Right.
Yeah.
And so get to know the area, surround yourself with people, like, just don't have physician friends. Usually physicians just have physician friends. Right.
Yes.
And then, like, we've learned the same thing, gone down the same road, but some of us are a little bit more expanded in what we're doing or who have passion.
And you get tag along investment when you're only with physicians, right? You get tag along investments, which probably going to lead you towards syndication. There's nothing wrong with syndication, but you're not opening yourself up to the equity. You don't have equity in those scenarios. So expanding your association is
I love it. Yes. Yeah. Expanding your association. Yes. That's awesome.
Limiting your association is good as well, because you want to limit the people who have a negative
totally. Yeah. And then I think the other thing is that a lot of physicians are afraid of a risk, right? Like, some of real estate is just like it's like a crapshoot in a sense, right? Like, you can guess and you can estimate and you can try to, like, you can't rationalize some stuff, but there's not 100% certainty, again, where it was in your education, where I get all A's, I go to med school, then I get a fellowship and I become a doctor, right? That's a very straight path in a sense. But real estate, there's a lot more curves and diversions in it. And there's going to be times where, yes, you're going to make an investment and it's not going to be the greatest investment, but that's okay, because the lessons that you've learned, it's not just the money that you created for yourself. Sometimes you become a negative, sometimes it's just neutral, but it's the lessons that you've learned with that investment and the people that you've met. That has value in itself too, right? Don't get so hyper-focused on dollars. This one didn't make this much and this one didn't make this much. And then the third one, which is the most important one, is ask your questions from the right person, but you might not know who the right person is. Ask your questions from multiple people, right? So, like, when we wanted to buy our first home in this neighborhood, we asked people and they're like, oh my God, the taxes are insane. Why would you move into that neighborhood? Go to the suburbs, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, And I usually I'm like stubborn. So I just make decisions. I was like, no, I've always wanted to live in this neighborhood. I don't care what the taxes are. I'll just like, I have the money to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
Right. But like ask other people that are like, ask, a variety of people. And then when we wanted to, so that was one example. And then the other example was there was another example. I just forgot what it was. Anyways. So yeah, when you're asking questions, don't go to we usually seek out the people that answer the questions the same as us.
You will find what you're looking for. I put it that way. You will find what you're looking for. You know?
Yes. So if something sounds like, if you have a friend that everything they say sounds crazy, go ask them.
Yeah. That's fun. That's fun. Those are awesome points. And if anybody wants to reach you and talk more about real estate or kind of how you switched, it's not like you switched from that. You had this, I feel, from the get-go, was an awesome perspective. And especially the midlife female physicians wanting to find calm, feel free, and live an authentic life.
Yeah.
Go from that burnout potential, even in the potential burnout, to balance in this place where the listeners can't see you right now, Dr. Sogol, but you are glowing, you are happy. The room is airy and light behind you, and it just feels good to talk with you.
Yeah. So, and I will tell you, I will say just one more thing is that when you've become when you've had this career and you've created and you're now an entrepreneur and you have passive income, and you're dabbling in different things, it'll have to be real estate, whatever you're dabbling in, please take the time to pause and check in with yourself to see, because before I started doing the inner work and the coaching and then all these other things that I do, I had the real estate and the clinic and the family and the whatever, all those things, but I didn't feel good. So don't fall into the trap that if I buy real estate, I'll feel good. If I have residential real estate and I buy commercial real estate, I feel good. No, you've got to deal with the feeling that's inside first. Yes. And then when you process that, when you release it, whatever you have to do with it, then you can move on to doing these other stuff. And that's where I said, okay, I've checked off literally every box under the sun. And so what I needed to do, I had done all the external work that I needed to do. And so I wanted to do the internal work. And that's why I'm so passionate about, and usually the internal work starts around midlife, right? 40, 45, 50, 60, whatever. For me, it started at 35 and then it peaked at 40. So that's why I'm very passionate about like that female, right? It's very specific. Midlife is very specific in physician. We have different needs as female midlife physicians. And we've fallen into this pattern of like doing and accomplishing and getting all these external validation from the outside. But it's like, no, you've got to heal the inside. The group that we have inside the CPR of the Souls is called the Healing Circle, because it really just looks at you as a person, your feelings, your thought, your soul, your energetics. It's a very spiritual. Yeah. So it's a balance, guys. Real estate is awesome. Entrepreneurship is awesome, but you've got to heal yourself. You've got to heal your core. You've got to tap into your heart and your soul to be able to essentially get that fulfillment.
Yes. Real estate, clinics, you practice, all of those are check boxes as goals. And it's not the destination, it's the journey. It's who we become in this journey. And like you're saying, understanding why do I want real estate? Well, I want passive money. Well, why do you want passive money? Well, I want my time back. Well, what are you going to do with that time? Well, I'm going to spend it with my family. Well, that's where, what are you going to do with your family? Why is that important to you? So now we're getting down to the depths of that balance that you're talking about and making sure that it's not about these check marks, right? It's about this journey that we're on. And each time that we build equity in ourselves, nobody can take that away from us, right? It's so important that I can speak for, I'm just hard at it, just go. And through the years, like limiting my connection with my family, time spent with my family, focused time with my family, That's the stuff that you don't get back. So making sure that you have that alignment and that you feel that calm and that freedom, understanding what is important. And those are the things that people can't take away from you, right?
Yeah. I always say, like, you can't take your real estate with you into the grave.
Right.
Your children you can't take your clinic, you can't take your patients, you can't take your home, but what you take is your soul. So you have to learn to feed that soul. And there are two ways of being accomplished. You can beat yourself up to the top, or you can love yourself to the top. So which one do you choose to do? And I feel like for female physicians, and probably most humans, we love to beat the heck out of ourselves to prove ourselves, to accomplish this external goal that we have. So again, that talks about with the journey, right? How do you want to walk to the journey? Because you can get a real estate and then all day long be like micromanaging it. Oh my God, it went up, it went down, my stock's this, my stock's that. Like, what is the point of that? There's no quality of life, right? You're not living in the present moment. So those are the questions that I
try not to. You always get this, like, if I tell somebody from Michigan, oh, do you like Michigan or Michigan State, or do you like the Lions? Like, where you're from, people ask you about sports. And I always tell everybody, I do my best to not like a sports team. It's like, I don't need that stress. Like, that's just like the stock market up and down. And it's like, I just don't need that stress. So just looking for this balance in our life. Dr. Sogol, so grateful for your time today. I've absolutely enjoyed our conversation. Just wanted to let everybody know too, your Instagram handle is Dr. Sogol _mindful living. You have the podcast that is Mindful Living with Dr. Sogol. And the website, we'll share all of this in the description of the show too, is cprforthesouls.com. And it's /circle. And you were talking about the healthy circle.
The healing circle.
Sorry, man, I had it all the way.
You will be very healthy when you come into the healing circle.
Healing circle. Sorry about that, but it's /circle, and that's www.cprforthesouls.com. cprforthesouls.com. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a blast.
Thank you. It was so much fun. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And thank you for everybody listening today, spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. If you get the chance, go ahead and drop a review on Spotify or Apple, whichever one you listen to. We're actually going to post some ways that you can leave a review, because I found it's actually difficult to leave a review for some reason. A review and then a star rating on Spotify. I don't know why they make it so hard, but anyway, we appreciate your time. Check in with us. You can always reach out to us by sending us an email, info@physicianwealthsystems.com, to speak about the journey, real estate, whatever we can do to bring you some more value. We are excited to connect with you, and thank you so much for your time. Until next time, thank you. This is Real Estate Mogul, MD.